Hello guys, so this is our first video for the Gamepedia wiki, and we thought we would make one for Tempest Trials. My name is Roman, I'm on the tier list team, and I have with me...
Hey guys, it's Lulu.
It's Lulu, who is Stir Fried Tuna on Reddit. And in this video we're going to explain and give tips on how to beat Tempest Trials, how to build units for Tempest Trials. And at the end there's also information for more experienced players who can beat it, but who want to maybe build for auto battling. Because auto battling takes less time, it's less draining, but it requires specific builds and preparation. So that's basically what this video is going to be for. So Lulu, let's start with how you build.
Alright, so with my team, I'm using Ike as my bonus. Ike's just good in Tempest Trials in general. He has his Ragnall, which is a distant counter, which makes him one of the best for this. I put reposition, I kept his default kit, Heavy Blade, Ether for healing. I have reposition because it's the best movement for faster clears. Quick Riposte is the best enemy phase B skill. Hone Speed to buff Soren, who I'll get to later. So for Noe, using Noe because she's also a distinct counter, so she has the 1-2 counter. We put reposition on her as well. I have the, how do you say this special?
Special.
The Escutcheon, this is a defensive special.
Escutcheon.
Let me just Google how to say this, because Escutcheon? Okay.
Escutcheon.
So I have the special Escutcheon to reduce the damage. I really just didn't have SP for a better special at the time. I have Triangle Adept. Triangle Adept is just all really good in the Tempest Trials, Quick Riposte, as same reason as Ike. And I have Fortify Res for buffing Soren. Now, so for Soren, I inherited the Ground Blade onto him. Even though it's still less might, with all the buffs that I'm going to be giving him, it's going to be stronger than just using his default. I put reposition on him as well, and Triangle Adept. I have Quick Riposte for baiting blue mages, and I just kept his default C. And then healer, it can be anyone you want. I just have chosen Maria. I gave her Pain for chip damage. I used Rehabilitate as my preferred heal. You can use other heals like Recover, but this is just a personal choice here. I kept Imbue for just a burst heal. I'm using Speed +3 as that's the best stat to give healers if they have to take a hit. I have Live to Serve 2 as my sustain for her, and then I have Hone Attack because she needs the attack buff least, and the rest of my allies do.
On it. Come on, let's go!
So as you guys noticed, Lulu's units, some of them, especially Ike, are +10. But this is easily doable with +0 units. You can be very you can build units on a budget with this, because the bonus units get a stat boost of +4 in all stats except HP, which get +10. So in this case, Ike would get even more monstrous for the duration of the Tempest Trials.
And the reason we're using Soren is because he also has a bonus.
Exactly. And for skills like Quick Riposte, you don't need Quick Riposte 3. You see Lulu even has Quick Riposte 1. The difference between 2 and 3 is that it's active for Quick Riposte 3 is active until I think 70%.
Yes.
And Quick Riposte 2 is 80%. So the difference is very marginal.
And with the healer, you just heal it back up.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Anyway. So even if our examples are a bit well optimized for people who pay a lot of money in this game, it is definitely not that difficult. You can absolutely use more budget builds. Why did you pick particularly a distinct counter unit?
Let's see.
Because it makes it easier to deal with ranged units.
Sure.
And
there's also the factor of time, because the rating in Tempest Trials largely depends on your speed and survival. So these are basically the primary factors. If you lose a whole team, you lose a rating in survival. And the speed rating is a little bit peculiar because it depends on your turn count. But what's interesting about this, if you lose your whole team, the turn count for that map is restarted. So in some cases it's actually more beneficial to lose your whole team on the final map than to clear it with your current one.
Or lose your whole team on a map you took like 10 turns on.
Yeah, exactly. Because the speed rating actually makes a much bigger difference in survival. And the maximum rating you can get with A in both is 705 on Lunatic 7. So that's why we picked the highest difficulty, because if you can clear it on Lunatic 7, you're fine for the rest. But when we're auto-battling it, we pick usually Lunatic 5. If you're not very confident in your units, you can pick Hard 5.
You normally pick Hard 5, you only take Lunatic 5, your units are overpowered.
I use Lunatic 5.
Oh.
I always Lunatic 5.
Maybe you should have done auto-battle.
No, I use Hector and Effie and DC units. You know, it's not free to play, but they're not super nerfed. Anyway,
that's overpowered.
I did it with a 4-star Soren even, man. Come on.
It was just your bonus.
Yeah, you don't have to be overpowered. You just use bonus units, you just win. Anyway, so when we auto battle Lunatic, I personally auto battle Lunatic 5. It's again like sometimes I see a situation that is a little bit dangerous. For example, if I use Hector, like for the last Tempest trial, Hector was a bonus unit, and I used Hector a lot. So when I see a Selena or a Hana, Selena naturally has Armor Slayer and Triangle Death 3, so she's like very hard to kill for an auto battling Hector. So that's when I jump in. Or when Hana is fast and has an Armor Slayer, she's almost an immediate death.
What? No, I never jump in. I just let them die.
Because you're playing Hard 5.
No, I'm playing Lunatic 5. I'm just saying most people do Hard 5.
Okay. Well, in Lunatic 5, if you even if you wipe with the team, you still get if you still get an A for speed, you still get about 483 points. And if you play hard and get A in both, that's about, how much was it, 438 or something like that. So that's less. So playing Lunatic 5 is actually worth it, even if a whole team wipes.
I mean, best part, if you'd want your team to at least wipe at the final map, because that's pretty simple to do. If you just have a second team ready to just clear the final map.
Yeah, especially because the enemies also lose some health when you wipe with your team. So your second team is going to have a much easier time. So let's talk a little bit more about what kind of units you would want to pick for this. So we've already discussed distant counter units. You would probably want to have a ranged unit like Soren here if you're lacking distant counter. So you have so you clear the maps faster.
You need to be able to attack over walls, especially for certain maps.
Yes, exactly, because a lot of maps, especially in this Tempest trial, have maps where the enemies don't move until you get into their range, and that's pretty annoying especially for auto battling, especially if you're using armors. And your healer, like, it's very beneficial for a healer to have a B slot like Wings of Mercy, or even for other characters to have Escape Route. You can choose specials that have a high charge, as opposed to arena play where you prefer low cooldown moves. You can use area of effect specials like a Blazing Wind or others, fire ones, or whatever the unit comes with. You can inherit from Merrick, who doesn't have much else of a use, and easily charge them up over maps. The Quicken Pulse seal is also very useful because it basically lowers your cooldown at the start of every map. So if you're using it with someone like Ike who comes with Ether, you're going to regularly activate Ether and heal yourself. And that's extremely useful on a sustainability dependent mode like this one.
I want to talk about the healer assist you use. If you're doing auto battle, you have two choices. Yeah. It's either Rehabilitate or Physic. Now, why Physic is because it's ranged, so it means your healer will try to stay out of danger better while healing your allies. The only downside is it doesn't heal that much. You have to basically rely on Immune to proc often, but Rehabilitate lets you save your allies from doing their dumb going into weapon triangle disadvantage, getting to like low health, and then you rehabilitate them back to full. And I've definitely watched my team survive maps because of rehabilitate, so it's definitely worthwhile to consider.
Yeah, so when you auto battle and at the end of the map your team is pretty beat up, at the start of the next map the healer is going to automatically rehabilitate one of your units to practically full health, and that's extremely useful. So let's talk a little bit about assists and auto battling. So there's the AI will function like this. Units without assists move first, regardless of whether they're melee or ranged. So units without assists and melee move first, and then units without assists that are ranged, and then units that are melee with assists move, and then units without assists that are ranged last. So you can manipulate your automatic turn order by removing and adding assists. For example,
Use my example. So I had my auto battle team was Ike, May, Brave Ike, and Maria, and I had no assist on May so that she would move first. And then I had Pivot on Red Ike so that he would always jump in front of her, and then I had Swap on Brave Ike so that he would swap places to probably pull someone out of the danger area. And I had it set so that if all four of them were in the final map, May would walk up, she would be in danger zone, and then Brave Ike would go up, swap into the danger zone, and take her out of it.
yeah, that's a good example. So yeah, removing assists from ranged units allows you to, for example, they will move first and be ahead of another unit, and then on the second turn they can hit someone and the other unit can draw them back. Like I do this pretty often when I auto battle with my cavalry team. Burden, Lynn or Cecilia, they are in range of someone, they hit, and then they are drawn back by someone else, and this doesn't always work when they don't move first. So that's pretty useful, and that's something to consider.
Another note is that reposition is really bad on auto battle, really slows down your speed, especially if you get it stuck in a reposition loop. You come back and it's like turn 100.
Yes, because reposition works with the AI in the way that it is never used offensively. It is used by the AI to get allies out of danger. So when a unit is moved into an enemy's danger zone, an ally will automatically reposition that unit back 2 spaces basically. So that's why it slows you down severely. I mean, it can sometimes work out for you, but it's unlikely. I would rather use drawback or swap or pivot. Like pivot is especially useful, particularly on armors, because it makes my Hector or Effie or whoever I use move in front of a unit, and it just works out that it has at least neutral weapon triangle against that enemy that is in that range, or even an advantage. So that's often works out for me. Pivot is something I would definitely recommend. So let's talk about the Black Knight a little bit, because Lulu used him here, and he's a bonus unit, and he's also free.
So Black Knight, he is like Ike with the distant counter sword.
Okay.
He's got the sister sword, Outerline.
Alendite.
And I did a pretty easy free build on him. I just put Swap, Quick Riposte 2, both from Sabaki, and then I just grabbed Fort Res 3 because I was buffing Soren as he was my Blade Tomb. So Quick Riposte 2 because he wants to let the enemies hit him and retaliate back. Steady Stance is actually really strong because it's +6 defense, and most of the enemies you will face are physical, whether it be the archers or the swords and the lances or axes. Like, he's strong enough to just tank lance units. Like, I'm pretty sure I have him tank like Claire at some point in here.
Weak.
Yeah, exactly why I did that.
Black Knight just happens to be the kind of unit that makes use of all of his stats. So the stat increase from being in Tempest trial bonus of +4 to everything and +10 HP is particularly ridiculous on him. He will outspeed things even without Quick Riposte. Just strongly improve your speed by having a distant counter weapon built in and an ace lock. So he's hard to kill, he breaks through opponents' defense with a special, but you can also use Ether on him. We have not discussed specials in particular yet, so we have mentioned area of effect specials, but what's also extremely valuable is Ether, which Ike comes with, and things like Gale Force, because they vastly improve your speed. There are clears of players beating the maps in 1 or 2 turns because they just have Gale Force charged, and severely reduce their clearing time with that.
I've personally done it with, 2 flyers and a dancer and 3 flyers and the bonus.
We haven't mentioned dancers much.
Dancers aren't really good for auto battle, in my opinion, because you want your team to stay together, and if you have a dancer that will cause one unit to end up just going YOLO into the enemy, and then the enemy will just like team up on that one person that went forward.
Well, if you do use a dancer, make sure to give that dancer Wings of Mercy, so they will stay with hurt allies, Combined with the healer,
Do you use a dancer in auto battle?
not an auto battle.
Does it work out?
Uh,
I mean, like, dancers are great. Dancers are probably one of the best units for increasing your speed. I just didn't use one because I was using Black Knight and that was my red slot. I didn't want to use a 5-star exclusive dancer, so using Black Knight meant I couldn't use Olivia because I needed to fit the rest of the color.
Oscar has
Weapon
also
triangle.
recently dropped to 4 stars, so he's a little bit easier to get. Well, what I do for auto battling is I try to build a team with incorporating 1 or 2 bonus units. In this case, Black Knight is pretty good, but he can also movement-wise slow you down a bit. So Ike is definitely one of the best.
He is the best
Yes,
right now. Because he's a
for
bonus.
this Tempest trial, Ike is, I would argue, the best bonus unit.
I used Ike for my auto battling even before he was a bonus, like in the previous ones, but then again he is +10, so he pretty much acts like a +0 bonus Ike, so I still think even at +0 he's amazing
Yes, I'm pretty
without
sure
the
I've
bonus.
used them in other Tempest trials. So the tips we give here are applicable to future Tempest trials. The one with Hector that we've had recently shouldn't be much different in terms of the strategy you approach in terms of team building. Basically, this encounter is great, having range is great, dancers are great, healers with rehabilitate are very useful, ether is very useful, gale force, area of effect specials. Also a skill like wrath, if you pull an Ephne, that cooldown increase every turn can get very helpful if you use it with ether.
I prefer Vantage if I'm using
Vantage
a
is
disencounter user,
extremely used. I use Ike with Vantage for auto battling in Tempest trials, and it
I know
it
it
makes
causes
him
him to
win
solo some
entire
maps.
maps that he has no business winning. You start getting worried, but then you remember, wait, I have Vantage, so you just win. Another really good B skill is Renewal, so it makes Faye a really nice pull currently. So if you have Renewal on a Hector or even Ike, it's or Black Knight, it's very useful to have because it heals at the start of every map, and regardless of whether it's Renewal 1 or 3.
Now, I want to go back to team building real quick. It's just, you want, when you're building a team, to build, you want to have one unit who's designated boss killer. In both my examples, I was using Oscar as my bonus, but he was also my Black Knight killer. Well, not both examples. Okay, so my first example, I used Noe as my Black Knight killer. My second example, I was using Oscar.
Did we forget something?
No, so the main reason why you want a boss killer is because the boss is always the one thing that's consistent in the Tempest trials. So you need him. It's best to have a strategy how to tackle the final map to make it that much easier.
It's good to have a mounted healer. Best healers you can use in Tempest trials is healers that have 3 move, mainly mounted healers.
But specifically Chlorine, because she's the best defensive healer, you don't really want to use Elise because she'll die if she gets hit.
So
She also has the highest defense.
prioritizing a mounted healer,
Yes.
because even without Wings of Mercy, they don't have much trouble moving towards units that use pivot to cover a lot of ground, and it's simply more reliable, especially if you auto battle. Try to clear it fast. Use assists. Use this encounter. Use range.
So you put your enemy phase unit in the danger zone of the.
Thanks for watching, guys. This was Lou and me from the GP team, and I want to particularly thank the GP
Alright.
builders who helped us editing this video, and hope to see you guys next time for when we make more videos on reviewing unit.